Hi everyone, this is Kyle Marshall, aka Againstime from grinderschool.com. Today I'll be playing a live video for you on the Ultimate Poker Network. I have 3 games going and several more loaded up. I'm going to try to keep it around 4 games the whole time. We'll go ahead and talk about the hands I'm involved in. Ace-8 offsuit from the cutoff in any blind level is a pretty standard raise, especially with the players sitting out. Same thing with the 9s here, just super standard raises. You'll notice that my raise size is about 2.5x in this early blind level, and it's about 2.25 a little later. I'm actually going to steal this hand as well. 5-6 suited from the hijack is marginal, and I realize that 2 of the players are fairly short, but they do have enough chips that we can fold should they re-steal or shove all in, as is the case here. And we're really spending very little for a good chance to steal the chips here. I've been fairly passive in this game for the most part, and so I think it's good to come in with steals there. Most likely players will only come over the top with legitimate hands. Of course, when you develop that tight image, you want to abuse it as much as possible later on. This shove right here is never the right move. There's no hand you should be open shoving for 25 blinds at all. You're risking too much for what you stand to win. It makes all of your opponent's decisions fairly simple, so we'll just let that go. This you could go either way with. I'm going to limp here. It'd be okay to fold too. I think ISO raising is a mistake this early out of position. And here you saw I just limped it with the 8-5 suited from the button. Not really looking to spend any more than that, just trying to get in for cheap in position. Here we'll ISO raise to 400 after the limper. Pretty standard. I'll definitely be committing against this player on the button no matter what. This is another play you should never be making. You should never be limping from the button at all, but especially not in the 5100. This flop, we only have 1 over card. There's only 520 chips left in his stack, so we'll just go ahead and commit ourselves here. If he's ahead, so be it. There's nothing we can do at this point. We just have to commit on this board. It's too favorable for us. Almost all flops I would shove all in on the flop here. The only exceptions to that would be like 3 over cards, and even then I might commit. And we see our opponent here. He could have easily just shoved this Jack 10. Ace-4 here from the cutoff. You can fold it or raise it. Both plays are fine. I think it's pretty even, to be honest. I think any Ace-5 or better in this blind level you should be raising, and in any later blind level you should be raising any ace from the cutoff, with a few exceptions to that. Looks like we have 4 games up now, so I will stop loading up more. I will fold here. It's okay to call here for set odds. Fold the queen 6. You don't really want to be 3-betting. This is a fairly solid reg here, raising from the hijack, or sorry, into 5 players. His range here, I don't think it's extremely tight, but it is fairly tight. And if we 3-bet here, we'll pretty much force him to fold most hands that we're ahead of. I like calling here for set odds and hoping to induce further calls behind. Here we'll 3-bet with the ace-king. It's okay to, you can shove all in, or you can just make a smaller 3-bet. I usually will make the smaller 3-bet. I think it's the better play in general. The reason why I shoved all in here is because we'll float this player right here with the 6s. The reason I shoved all in is because we're out of position. If I were to 3-bet it to something like 375 or 400, a c-bet on the flop would commit me. And if I didn't hit the flop and I don't draw it on the turn, then I'm really pretty uncomfortable with this situation there. And so I think it's best to just shove in that rare spot. Here I called floating the flop. On the turn we improved to a boat, so I just checked it, and here I'm going to bet the river for value. Check the queen 9, fold the jack 7. See what games we have. I'm going to unregister one of these games so we don't have too many. And of course, we'll call here with the boat. I don't really like the line this player took. He kind of feigned weakness, and so I guess he's more likely to catch a bluff from me. But at the same time, the times he's ahead, he doesn't get quite as much value by checking there. And by check shoving there, when I actually do have a hand, he's just basically breaking. I don't know. I really don't like that line. I think he probably should have bet the flop and the turn. If I shove all in over the bet on the turn, he has a tough decision to make. And it would be okay to check the river if I just call the turn, but I didn't really like the line my opponent took there. With the king 9, we'll go ahead and bet here. Even with mid pair, you'll see that I just pretty much get out of the way here. I don't really think it's worth getting involved for early on. I like to come in as the aggressor, and when I'm out of position with, or when I'm in the blinds most of the time with like kind of a medium pair, mediocre kicker, I like to not spend too many chips on it. I don't think it's really a worthwhile investment. You will win some hands, but in the long run, you're going to lose a lot of chips that way, not really knowing where you are. Here with the ace-3, we'll go ahead and c-bet this as well. This is a fairly good flop for us. Check here. We'll actually just fold the ace-8 suited since we're out of position. This is a raise into 5 players, so we can expect that we're behind a fair amount of time. Even when we do hit our hand, sometimes we'll lose a lot of chips for it. Not really worthwhile early on. We're only taking clearly profitable situations early on. We're taking pretty break-even spots in the mid blinds, and we're taking any edge at all in the late blinds. Just fold a jack-4 here. I like to play pretty much shove fold, blind versus blind at about 13, 14 blinds or less. I think that's pretty much the way to go. This is a fairly coordinated flop against 2 opponents. I'll just check here. If no one shows any action on the turn, I'll probably c-bet. It's okay to raise any suited face card from the button in 3-handed play. Queen Jack is certainly raising the button here. And this is a huge bet, very stiff pot size. We'll just let this go with the 3s and consider we saved ourselves some money. Luck is real will 3-bet very light, even so we still can't call with Jack 3 suited. I would be calling him with probably pocket 3s. I might even call with pocket 2s. He would re-steal very wide there. Even like 7-8 offsuit, he would probably go all in. So we're calling very wide against this player. He is one of the strongest regs on the entire website. As far as other players that I recognize, player 1 is a reg, who we saw earlier. But that's about it, really. This is a flop where you can c-bet or check. I'm going to c-bet it. Either play is fine. It's kind of dry and hard for your opponent to hit. However, if they have a pocket pair or 2 overcards, they're likely to come along. So you could make arguments both ways. I think I probably would lean towards checking about 60% of the time and betting 40%. It's pretty close, though, against one opponent. Against 2, it's probably better to just bet. I can't recall if I had the chance to mention earlier because we got involved in a lot of hands at the beginning. But anyway, these are 7-handed tournaments. Top 3 get paid, 50, 30, 20 payout, similar to Poker Stars or Full Tilt. The only difference is there's 2 fewer players, and you start in the 15, 30 blinds instead of the 10, 20, which makes the tournament a little faster. The variance is lower because it's short-handed, but you don't see quite as many hands. I like the tournament structure overall. Not really a lot I would probably change about it. I think the 9-handed game is generally better, but since this site is just kind of getting started, I think that there should be more inclined to do shorter-handed games. We'll just call here with a flush draw. It's easier for tournaments to run that way. We'll float here. Actually, this is kind of a tough situation against Luck is Real. I'm just going to shove all in. I'm really not sure where I stand here. I played against this player a lot, and he likes to limp in here, and it's hard to tell if he has a strong hand or not. And it looks like he's willing to limp in with marginal things. If I hit mid-pair there, I'd rather just close out the action with such a large proportion of my chips already being in the pot. Here we could have tried to steal it on the turn, but we didn't do so, so we just checked it down. If we don't bet the turn, there's not really a lot of value in betting the river there. So we learned that Luck is Real is willing to limp in with marginal hands. Or he could have even had, just a big hand that didn't hit there, but he definitely didn't carry a big pair, so he will limp in with non-premium hands. We'll just check this pair of 8s here, fold the 6-8. It's like we'll get a walk with our aces. 7s will be raised in any position in these tournaments. We'll go ahead and bet now. We'll shove over Luck is Real's raise. Okay, we do get a call here. It could be any number of things. I'm just going to check the river here, and we'll call a bet from our opponent as long as it's not an oversized bet. It's okay to just go ahead and c-bet this. Or sorry, it's okay to raise this. We would have called the one bet, but then the shove all in. We'll just let this go with the queen. It's okay to defend here. I don't always do it, but it's okay too. And fold the 10-8 suited. This is a pretty pitiful board for us in the bottom left, so we won't be continuing on the side of any resistance. King 10 against this player. 15 blinds is actually close. I imagine, it would be my guess that I'm probably about even with this range. However, I think I can find a better spot of using this player. This is not a very strong player to my left, and he may catch us, but I think I can gain more chips looking for a better opportunity. I'm not going to let this one go. I think that I'm ahead a fair amount here, and I think he has a small pair a fair amount as well, so we're going to get involved this time. As you can see, he shows very light. He will, however, hit the nut flush, and we will be eliminated from this one, but it was the right call. So we'll finish third in this game. Any in the money finish is always welcome. 9-5 of diamonds is okay to just check after they limp. 600 chips here. For 4 blinds, I'm getting involved with this player if he would shove, so I'm definitely be getting involved no matter what here. Fold the 10-5. Yeah, I'm okay with this situation, especially putting a large proportion of my chips compared to his stack in already. Had he shoved here, I would have called this, and so I think it's definitely worth just getting involved all the way. The queen 9. This is okay to shove over the top to isolate. We're ahead of an 8 blind shove range for the cutoff. Don't want to just call this and get forced out, so we'll go all in. Fold the 3-7. Ace 8 here. I'm going to limp. If he raises, I'll be shoving all in. He did auto select check. I'm going to go ahead and just lead out on this board for half pot and try to take it. Fold the king deuce suited. Could raise that one position later. Definitely be getting involved with the kings. King 10 here, you can just open shove for 12 blinds from the button. That's about the loosest you can shove it. We'll raise with our kings. 340 is my standard raise in this level. I don't really change my raise size based on the strength of my hand, but only based on the effective stack sizes, how late it is in the tournament, things like that. See if we have another game loading up here. We'll try to get a few more for you. And load up another one of these as well. Okay. We'll check here with the deuce 8. King 10 you can raise. I'll just go ahead and play this one to its strength. I'll just bet here. I don't really want to slow play my pair of 8s. Anytime you limp in from the small blind and the flop comes, you should be willing to just bet out about half pot there. Something like 80% of the time. You only have to win one time in 3 to show a profit, and I think when you check and allow your opponent to be the aggressor, usually you'll come out behind. I'm going to shove over this limp. It's okay to do that anywhere from like 8 to say like 14 blinds is fine. Anyone who shows a tendency to limp with marginal hands, especially on the bubble, you need to abuse that. You will occasionally get trapped, but most of the time you'll be coming out ahead because they like to limp so frequently. With the 3s here, we definitely want to raise. We're a little too deep to just shove it, even though that would be my preferred route since we are in the bubble and I don't like players coming over the top. If they do come over the top, we will have to fold because of ICM. We do get a flat call from the big blind, which is almost never the right way to play the hand in this situation. And the flop is fairly good for us. We're going to try to lead out here. If he leads into us for a big bet, we'll have a tough decision to make. Here our options are pretty much, we can flat this. I don't really like that play as much. I think it's best to just let it go. Another option is just to shove all in. However, if we get called, we pretty much have no potential to draw out. We're drawing it 3 outs twice. Not a good situation to be in. If we float it and he bets again on the turn, unless we hit a 3, we just have to let it go. So the only way that's favorable for us, basically, is if he bets the flop and then we call and he just checks the turn and we take it away. We'll shove over this limp, though, however. He has shown a tendency for that, so we will abuse it. Fold the 4-3 is fine. A lot of times when a player leads out and I shove all in, I don't like to do so with like a pair smaller than what's on the board, because then when I do get called, when I am behind, I have no draw chance at all. I like to have some kind of redraw available that's reasonable. Here you'll be shoving 10-8 suited for up to, I think, 12 blinds from the cutoff is okay. At least 11 blinds. 6-8 suited here. I would raise it, but then we'd be committed against the player in the big blind, and I would shove it, but we're a little too deep, so it only leaves us with folding. Unfortunately, that's the best play. Ace-deuce isn't quite enough good to shove here, so we'll just let it go. Don't want to raise with 11 blinds. Can't c-bet without committing ourselves. It looks like we have another game up here. Ace-9, we will shove. These two players are right at 10 and 11 blinds, so we'll just get all in here. It's okay to fold the Jack-9, and we'll shove this again over the limps. He's eventually going to try to trap us here, if not this time, but you notice that we take these chips so many times that it's okay. And even when he does trap us, we could potentially draw out, so it's definitely not right to be playing that limp style from the small blind. Let the Queen-7 go, King-7 as well. Looks like we have an all-in collision here. Super standard, Jacks versus Ace-King. These players would have gotten all in with much less. Happy to certainly do it with here. We'll let the 8-7 go. Ten-4 is a fold. With the 10s, with just 11 blind, no reason to get cute with it. We'll just go all in, especially because we are on the bubble. It's okay to fold the Queen-4. Ace-deuce is definitely going to be a fold. We'll just fold here. Had he limped, I actually probably would have shoved the 8-7 as well. He just does it so often, you really have to take advantage of it and exploit it to the maximum. Ace-9 is a super standard shove. 10-8 to fold. King-Jacks will actually shove over this shove because he's going to be shoving pretty much any 2 here. I know him very well, and I'm almost certain that's his range. His range is probably something like 90% here. He could potentially show up with something decent, and this is actually pretty strong for him to show up with here, but he would have shoved much worse than this. I'm certain of it. Moving to the money in the bottom left. We have another game loaded up here. I'm going to keep it on the side, and I'll bring it over after we cash it or eliminate it from another game. Should be fairly soon here. Easy fold with the, pretty much here, like this is like a 14 blind shove. You want to have a pretty reasonable hand to call that, even 3-handed. You want to have like at least 3s or better, some reasonable suited ace, maybe like an ace-8 or ace-7 offsuit, something like that. Here on the game off screen, I'm going to limp with the Queen-8 suited, a little bit out of position, but we have a limper in front of us. Queen-9 here, I'm just going to check, fold the 10 deuce. 6s will shove over this shove because its luck is real, and he's shoving again at about an 8-2, and this is a 5-3 as a fold. We were ahead of luck is real. However, this is not going to work out well for us. Looks like he will improve 2 quads. With the Queen-9 here, just let it go. You see here that we were ahead of his range, which was expected. We'll just shove under the gun here with just about anything reasonable. And Tiggle Biddies didn't do anything wrong calling with the ace-king, obviously. This was a three-way collision where everyone did everything right, and it just didn't work out. It worked out for the player that had the worst hand, unfortunately. You would shove under the gun here with about 90% of hands, almost anything. Easy call with the ace-4. Jack-8's not quite good enough here. Alright, ace-3 suited is just going to be a shove. Ace-deuce isn't quite good enough here. Ace-deuce suited I would have shoved. Okay, we'll take this game out and move in our other game. If this weren't the bubble and it were just a pretty full-handed game, this would be a reasonable call against players shoving wide. However, this is the bubble, and I don't know that this player is shoving very wide at all, so we'll just let that go. Probably would want something like 4s here, maybe 5s, to call this shove. We're pretty close to tied for second place with everyone here, so it's okay to take risks, but we don't want to take unnecessary ones. Check the king-jack. It's okay to just make a small raise here with the king-6 for a steal. We'll just go ahead and lead out on the turn. 80 into 120 is fine. I don't like this. We'll just call here with the king-jack. Shove over this limp. Check. This is really close. I'm going to call because we're three-handed, but it's really close. I'm happy to see that we'll let this go. There's plenty of hands that could beat us here, and in the 25-50, we don't really need to take unnecessary risks. 6s here. I think it's too weak to let it go when we're this short-handed. 10-9 suited. You see this player eventually did trap, and I talked about that happening. It will happen. It doesn't really matter the times when you do get trapped and you're eliminated, because all the other times you accumulate money from that player is totally worth it. And like I said, even when they call you, sometimes their hand won't hold. So I really like that situation. We'll just call here with a 5-7. This is a pretty good board for us. I'm not going to slow play it. I'm just going to lead out here for about half pot. And I'll probably commit on the turn. Okay, we will go ahead and commit on the turn. Looks like we'll move into the top 2 here. Here you can call with a straight draw. It's not particularly good. You know, I say that I'm just going to probably let it go. It's just not a particularly good draw, and it's not really worth getting involved early on. We'll just let it go, even for 30 chips. Easy shove here with the king-7. I'll be playing the Nash push-fold equilibrium, as most of you know, over here in the top right. Queen 9 is an easy shove here. Easy call with the ace 9. Looks like we'll take first up here in the top right. Always happy for that. We'll go ahead and finish these 2 games out here. With the 10 jack here, it's kind of an interesting spot. I feel inclined to shove it. If this player weren't sitting out, I'd make a small raise. But I'm just going to go ahead and shove it. The reason why is this player only has about 12 or 13 blinds. This player has 10. I haven't shoved too much on this table, and we're shoving basically through 2 players on the button. It's good. It plays reasonably well post flop, so you could make an argument for just raising it. But I really like to shove here better with the players sitting out. Both plays are fine, and there would be nothing harmful about kind of varying it and doing both. Here I just made an ISO raise with the ace king. Pretty standard here. I'm going to lead out for 300. Don't want to bet more than necessary to take it down. I'm hoping to just steal this. This is a pretty good flop for us unless he hit the queen. We'll just go ahead and check the turn. River is particularly good for us. He could have ace queen here, even so, it doesn't matter. We have to bet for value. If he raises all in, we're just going to get stacked. Nothing we can do. I imagine he probably had a queen or some kind of pair in his hand like tens or jacks. Fold the 9 deuce. Ace 4 here is fine to make a steal raise from the cutoff. Like I said, in the 2550, you can pretty much steal. Well, in the 5100, you can steal any ace from the cutoff. In the 2550, it's probably okay to steal ace 5 or better all the time, and then some aces a little weaker sometimes. In the 1530, it's best to just fold the weaker offsuit aces. Just fold the 10-8. For those of you who do live in Nevada, Ultimate Poker and WSOP.com are both up and running. If you're looking for sit and goes, definitely I recommend Ultimate Poker. The software is a little bit worse than the other site, but not overly so. But the traffic for sit and goes is just like a million times better. There's no contest really. If you're looking at cash games, both sites have fairly good traffic, but WSOP.com has a little more. Same argument for Ultimate Poker. You know, it has a fair amount of multi-table tournaments, but WSOP.com has more there as well. But sit and goes, Ultimate Poker is definitely ahead right now, and will probably continue to do so for a while. They did just recently update their software, and they made a couple nice improvements too, so they're catching up in that aspect as well. I think a lot of players, you'll see a lot of the same regs on both sites. I think a lot of players are playing on both simultaneously, which is probably necessary for any really hardcore serious grinder. They did recently allow HUDs in New Jersey, which was something that wasn't really spoken about for a while and wasn't really permitted in the US. And I think they're going to start to transition that into Nevada as well, which will be good for all of you grinders out there. King 4, it's okay to fold here. Generally, you would see me steal this from the button. Problem is if I raise and the big blind shoves, I'm committed all in. And that's not really a profitable situation with the offsuit king. I think it's best to just pass that marginal one up, especially since the blinds are about to go up here like they did, putting us in like an 8 blind position. Had we raised there and lost the hand, we would be very short stacked and wouldn't have a lot of equity left in the tournament moving into the 75-150. Just fold the 3 deuce suited. In this situation, you'd be looking to raise a range like deuces plus any suited ace, ace 8 or better, ace 5 offsuit, king 8 suited, king 9 offsuit, queen 8 suited, queen 10 offsuit, jack 7 or 8 suited, jack 10 offsuit, 10 7 suited, 10 9 maybe, 9 7 suited, 8 7 suited, 7 6 suited, and 6 5 suited would be a pretty good range here in this blind level from where I'm sitting. But 3 deuce suited does not meet that requirement, so we'll just go ahead and let it go. As hard as it is for me to fold 2 suited cards. Be looking for fairly light shoves down here in the bottom right. Still haven't moved into that situation yet in the bottom left. We're actually pretty good position ship-wise in first place, but not by much. Player to our left is fairly strong as well. Don't really notice anyone to worry about over here. Conda 43 is a player who I've seen before, but I don't really know a lot about him. Fold the Jack 5. Like we have a player eliminated over here. I would have stolen this as well had it been folded to me, but after the limp, we won't be making an ISO raise. Easy fold with the King 3. As most of you know, I never like to pre-select my options, even though I already know what I'll be doing. Any information that you can prevent your opponent from having is always the right way to go. This is actually closer than you might think. I'm going to go ahead and fold it. But if I had 7 blinds here, I might shove this. The only thing that's problematic is this short stack who's likely to get involved. But still, it's 7 blinds under the gun. As the blinds go through us, 5 players behind us, I really think that almost any suited jack is okay. But we just had a little more than that, just over 8 blinds, so I let it go. Ace King here, we won't be folding pretty much no matter what. Looks like we'll have a lot of action. Maybe Ace King won't be the best hand, but no way we can fold this with 8 blinds. It would be a mistake almost always. Alright, pretty happy with this result. Looks like the flush might hit. I have no idea why the Queen 5 is involved here, but so be it. Nothing wrong, nothing the player with the queens really did wrong. Their hand probably wasn't strong enough to make that raise, though. They probably just shoved it. The truth is about any hand, other than like aces or kings, is none of them can really withstand a tremendous amount of pressure. And when you're so short like that, it's a lot of times just better open shove. The result would have been very similar. I would have gotten involved, and so would he have. But I don't know if the player with the queen 5 would have or not. But this player has to commit with any 2. Or at least they should. Easy fold with the King 3. And we are moving into the bubble in the bottom right. We will look to be very aggressive as the chip leader. 5-6 unfortunately doesn't qualify. We have 100 chips left in the pot than normal. This player's a short stack and fairly loose at calling anyway, so we'll just let that go. Probably would have shoved 7-8 offsuit. I'll make a small raise here if it's folded to me. It is not. We'll let it go. Not a lot of fold equity here. Ace Queen, we'll just make a small raise, but we'll be willing to call any shove. We have to shove over this limp, just as I would call shove had he shoved. We're getting involved for a whole stack here. This player chooses to limp in with Ace King. This is okay. I mean, you know, I really don't like it though. He's going to get me to shove all in behind a fair amount, and there's no doubt about that, and I see his reasoning there. But also at the same time, he's allowing me to see a lot of flops for free with hands that I'm not shoving. He's really giving me a lot of opportunity to basically devalue his hand, but he will catch me sometimes shoving like that. However, with Ace Jack, I mean, if he went all himself, I just would have called it anyway. Not a big fan of limping in those spots, especially on the bubble. You really want to be the aggressor. You don't want to have chances for the big stack to push you around, even with a hand as strong as Ace King. Not a bad way to play it in terms of trapping your opponent, but on the bubble, that's not really what you want to do. You just want to go all in there. in my opinion, a little bit of a misstep. I'm sure there are some solid regs who play it that way as well, but I think most of them would just shove all in that situation. I think that's the better way to go. Even if you have ace king, and you limp, and I shove in with 5-6 suited, which I would do, I'm still winning more than one time in three, and we're on the bubble, and you're calling it all in, and I don't really think that's the way to go. I mean, if you were the short stack, maybe you'd be inclined to take a little more risk, but I just don't think it's the most profitable solution. Easy folds on both tables. I generally always think playing as the aggressor is better. Not necessarily for the big hands that you get, because sometimes you can get more value out of those by trapping and slow playing. But all the times you're playing with weaker hands, you get a lot more value playing them aggressively so that you have that fold equity. And so there's a lot more weak hands than there are strong ones like that. So I think that it's more profitable in the long run to play as the aggressor in almost all situations. Looks like we will have a double elimination, so we will move into the money on both tables. I will just shove for 12 blinds with a Jack-10 three-handed. Pretty good session for us, it looks like. See if we can't try to win both games here. Got some work to do on the left side. We'll be shoving the queen-9 should it be folded to us. Pretty standard here for 10 blinds, blind versus blind. Super easy call with the ace-9. Looks like we will hit our queen. Ace-10 will just shove here for 12 blinds. We'll split this one on the right side with straight. Queen deuce doesn't quite meet the cut here. Would be looking to shove or fold in this situation, however. Eight-9, we would have shoved over a limp, but we won't be calling a shove. Queen 10 will be a shove for about 12.5 blinds, blind versus blind. I don't think we have a lot of fold equity here. I'll just let this go. I really would have preferred to get involved. Thankfully, the board was not favorable for us. Easy fold with a 5-8. Okay, looks like we'll move into heads up on the left side. Uh, 13 to 14 blinds here. I will just be shoving or folding. Easy shove with the queen 9. I'll re-steal all in over this raise all day long when this hand heads up. Both plays are fine. These are super standard. You're never folding 8s to re-steal this short, and you should always be re-stealing a hand like queen 9 suited. So both plays are fine here. It looks like we will take second. And we'll see if we can't win this one in first. Just shove all in with the 3s. Would have shoved all in over a min raise here, any kind of very small raise like that. Easy call with the ace-7. Looks like our hand will somehow hold. Alright, Nash push fold again. Easy shove here. I vary how deep I'll do this depending on the opponent. Some opponents I'll shove all in all the way up to like 20 blinds. That would be what I would do against a professional opponent. Against a weaker opponent, I tend to shove a little narrower stack, like all the way up to like 14 or 15 maybe. I make more small raises the weaker I consider my opponent to be. The stronger they are, the more you take little guaranteed edges. We'll just make a small raise with the queen six. We have almost 20 blinds here. We're looking to do a lot of smaller steals unless we see a lot of re-steals and flats. Even with flat calling, I'd almost prefer small raises most of the time. I'll bet 600 here. The board's fairly coordinated. I want to bet a little larger than we normally would. And we'll take it down. $200, $400. We'll be moving into shove fold mode again. Player min raises us. We'll just go all in over the top as we would do with any pair here. Easy standard Nash shove here. You can actually shove this all the way up to, I believe, 20 blinds on the Nash chart. Obviously, we'll be getting involved with the nines. This player chooses to make a rin raise at less than 10 blinds, which is almost never the right play. Looks like he was trying to trap us here, get us involved. Weaker hand, but luckily we picked up a even more massive hand than he did. Alright, so we will take first in this one as well. It's a pretty good session overall, a lot of good finishes here. There were definitely a lot of good shoving situations that we encountered, and a lot of shoving over limb situations. Not as many good re-steal spots as I normally like to have, but anyway, good session overall. I hope you all enjoyed that. I will be coming out with further live videos soon. If you have any questions or comments, or if any of you are interested in training, of course, I am available at againstime@gmail.com. Just shoot me a message and I will get back to you with types of training I do, rates, everything you'd like to know. Anyway, y'all take care.